Hello friends, I'm Gopal Chandra Jha and I'm welcome you to my educational channel Easy English Tutorial. Today I have come with a beautiful story. The title of the story is In the Kingdom of Fools. It's a Kannada folk tale from A.K. Ramanujan's Folk Tales from India. So let's read it. In the kingdom of fools, both the king and the minister were idiots. They did not want to run things like other kings, so they decided to change night into day and day into night. They ordered that everyone should be awake at night, till their fields and run their businesses only after dark and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. Anyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. The people did as they were told for fear of death. The king and the minister were delighted at the success of their project. One day a guru and his disciple arrived in the city. It was a beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one about. Everyone was asleep, not a mouse stirring. Even the cattle had been taught to sleep by day. The two strangers were amazed by what they saw around them and wandered around town till evening, when suddenly the whole town woke up and went about its nightly business. The two men were hungry. Now that the shops were open, they went to buy some groceries. To their astonishment, they found that everything cost the same, a single dodo. Whether they bought a measure of rice or a bunch of bananas, it cost a dodo. The Guru and his disciple were delighted. They had never heard of anything like this. They could buy all the food they wanted for a rupee. When they had cooked and eaten, the Guru realized that this was a kingdom of fools and it would be a good idea for them to stay, and it would not be a good idea for them to stay there. He told his disciple that that was not a good place for them, but the disciple did not want to leave the place. Everything was cheap there. All he wanted was good, cheap food. The Guru said that they were all fools and it would not last very long and they could not say what they would do to them next. But the disciple did not listen to the Guru's wisdom. He wanted to stay. The Guru finally gave up and told him to do what he wanted and left the kingdom. The disciple stayed on, ate his fill every day, that is, ate his food every day, bananas and ghee and rice and wheat and grew fat like a street-side sacred bull. One bright day, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house. He had made a hole in the wall and sneaked in, and as he was carrying out his loot, the wall of the old house collapsed on his head and killed him on the spot. His brother ran to the king and complained that when his brother had been pursuing his ancient trade, a wall fell on him and killed him. This merchant was to uh, be blamed. He should have built a good strong wall. He requested the king to punish the wrongdoer and compensate the family for that injustice. The king assured him of justice and at once summoned the owner of the house. When the merchant arrived, the king charged him of the thief's murder because his wall had killed him. The helpless merchant told him that he had not put up the wall. It was really the fault of the man who had built the wall. He had not built it right. He prayed to the king to punish him. When the king asked him who he was, he told him that that wall had been built in his father's time. He knew the man. He was an old man then, and he lived nearby. The king sent out messengers to bring in the bricklayer who had built the wall. They brought him tied hand and foot. The king asked him whether he had built the wall in the merchant's house in his father's time. At this he said that he had. The king asked him what kind of a wall that was that he had built because it fell on a poor man and killed him. The king charged him of murder, but before he could order the execution, the poor bricklayer pleaded to listen to him, as it was true that he had built that wall and it was uh, not good. But that was because his mind was not on it. He remembered very well a dancing girl who had been going up and down that street all day. with her anklets jingling, and he could not keep his eyes on his mind on the wall he had been building. He prayed the king to get that dancing girl. The dancing girl, then an old woman, came trembling to the court. When she was asked whether she walked up and down that street many years ago while that poor man had been building a wall and whether she had seen him, she told the king that she remembered it very well. The king said that she had walked up and down with her anklets jingling. She was young and she distracted him. So he built a bad wall. It fell on a poor burglar and killed him. The king charged her of killing an innocent man and said that she would be punished for that. The woman thought for a minute and requested him to wait as she knew why she was walking up and down that street. She told the king that she had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for her, but he was a lazy scoundrel and he made so many excuses. He said that he would give it now and he would give it then, and so on all day. He made her walk up and down to his house a dozen times. That was when the bricklayer saw her. It was not her fault, it was the damned goldsmith's fault. The king thought, weighing the evidence, that she was absolutely right and ordered his bailiff to get the goldsmith. The king's bailiffs, that is the king's officers, searched for the goldsmith who was hiding in a corner of his shop. When he heard the accusation against him, he had his own story to tell. He said that he was a poor goldsmith. It was true he had made that dancer go to his house many times. He had given her excuses because he could not finish making her jewelry before finishing the merchant's orders. He had a wedding coming and they would not wait. He told the king that he knew that the rich men are very impatient. When asked who that rich merchant was, who kept him from finishing that poor woman's jewelry and um, who kept him from making that poor woman's jewelry and made her walk up and down, which distracted the bricklayer, which made a mess of his wall, which then fell on an innocent man and killed him. The goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. The king thought that justice had come full circle. When the rich merchant was rudely summoned back to the court, he arrived crying that it was not him, it was not he, but his father who had ordered the jewelry, and that he was dead then. He added that he was innocent. But the king consulted his minister and ruled, that is, he gave his judgment, that it was true that his father was the true murderer and he was dead, but somebody must be punished in his place. He had inherited everything from that criminal father of his riches as well as his sins. The king said that he knew at once, even when he had first set eyes on him, that he was at the root of that horrible crime. Therefore he must die, and he ordered a new stake to be made. Stake means a wooden structure which is used for uh, executing someone or hanging someone, or we can say for killing someone. It is put into the earth, and the person to be punished is bound to it and burnt alive, and it is also used for hanging someone. So therefore he must die, and he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution, for the hanging of the person. As the persons as the servants sharpened the stake and got it ready for the final impaling, final pushing of the stake into the ground of the criminal, It occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. He appealed to the king's common sense. The king too was worried about it. He did not know what to do, but suddenly it struck him that all they needed to do was to find a man fat enough to feed the stake. The servants were immediately sent all over the town looking for a man who would feed the stake, and their eyes fell on the disciple who had fattened himself for months on bananas and rice and wheat and ghee. He said that he had not done any wrong and that he was innocent and he was a sannyasi. But they said that it was a royal decree, a royal order that they should find a man fat enough to feed the stake and carried him to the place for execution. Place of execution. The disciple remembered his wise guru's words that it was a city of fools and they did not know what they would do next. While he was waiting for death, he prayed to his guru in his heart, asking him to hear his cry. Wherever he was, the guru saw everything in a vision. He had magic powers. He could see far and he could see the future as he could see the present and the past. He arrived at once to save his disciple who had got himself into a scrape, that is, into a difficult situation, through love of food. As soon as he arrived, he scolded the disciple and told him something in a whisper. Then he went to the king and asked him who was greater, the guru or the disciple. At this, the king told him that the guru was greater. There was no doubt about it. The king wanted to know of him why he asked that. The Guru asked the king to put him to the stake first and put his disciple to death after him. When the disciple heard this, he understood the Guru's trick and began to clamor, that is, he began to fight with him to be killed first, as he had been brought there first. The Guru and the disciple now got into a fight about who should be killed first. The king was puzzled, the king was confused by this behavior. He asked the Guru why he wanted to die. He said that they had chosen him because they needed a fat man for the stake. The Guru told him to put him to death first and that he should not ask him such questions. At that, the king requested him to tell him the secret. The Guru agreed. The king gave him his solemn word that if he told him the secret, he would put him on the stake before his disciple. At this, the Guru took him aside out of the servant's earshot and whispered to him that they had been all over the world but had never found a city like that or a king like him. The stake was the stake of the God of justice. It was new as it had never had a criminal on it. Whoever died on it first would be reborn as the king of this city, this country, and whoever died next would be the future minister of that country. They were sick of their ascetic life, their hard life. They were sick of their hard life. It would be nice to enjoy themselves as king and minister for a while. Then the Guru asked the king to keep his word and put them to death. The king was then thrown into deep thought. He did not want to lose the kingdom to someone else in the next round of life. He needed time, so he ordered the execution postponed, stopped to the next day, till the next day, and talked in secret with his minister. The king then told the minister that it was not right for them to give over the kingdom to others in the next life. They decided to go on the stake themselves and be reborn as king and minister again. The king told the executioners that they would send the criminals that night. When the first man went to them, put him to death first. The king told the executioners that they would send the criminals that night and they would put him to death. Whoever would go to them, they would put him to death first. Then do the same to the second man, as these were his orders, and uh, they asked the executioners not to make any mistake. That night the king and his minister went secretly to the prison, released the guru and the disciple, disguised themselves as the two, and, as arranged beforehand with royal servants, were taken to the stake and promptly executed. When the bodies were taken down to be thrown to crows and vultures, the people panicked, seeing their dead bodies. They saw before them the dead bodies of the king and the minister. The city was in confusion. They were unable to understand what had happened. All night they mourned and discussed the future of the kingdom. Some people suddenly thought of the guru and the disciple and caught up with them as they were preparing to leave the town unnoticed. They requested them to be their king and minister. They did not take many arguments to persuade the disciple, but it took longer to persuade the guru. They begged the guru and the disciple to be their king and their minister. They finally agreed to rule the kingdom. Both the guru and the disciple finally agreed to rule the kingdom of the foolish king and the silly minister, all on the condition that they could change all the old laws. From then on, night would again be night and day would again be day, and you could get nothing for a dodo. It became like any other place. So, dear friends, this was the story in the Kingdom of Fools. I hope you will like it. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and share it. Thank you very much.